Okay, well, let me just say right from the get-go that I am a die-hard Stones fan. You probably won't see a bigger Stones fan, short of those weirdo Shadoobie guys who follow them around everywhere. But ever since I first heard the Stones through my mom's vinyls, I've gone to as many shows as I can afford the last 20 years. I've read dozens of books. I know every marriage, divorce, bust, manager changeover, outtake, you name it, top to bottom, forwards and back. I know it. I love it. And I am a huge Keith fan of his solo work. You know, I mean, the obscurities like Coming Down Again on Goat's Head Soup, or his one on Emotional Rescue, All About You. I mean, I love them. I mean, they had this wonderful little idiosyncratic touch to this standard Stones album. However, that being said, I've got to say the new Keith album, Crosseyed Heart, just isn't that good. And I say this, I only come out and say this because, like, I've read on Amazon and things like this, all these sort of knee-jerk, oh, hail Keith, oh, it's the best thing the Stones have done since Exile on Main Street, and things like that. And I just feel like I had to counter that with, you know, an informed opinion. I've loved his first two solo albums, with the expensive winos, Main Offender and Talk Is Cheap. But this one, I mean, let's just go track by track. There's a general problem here. Okay, the first track is Cross-Eyed Heart. It's Keith just doing a standard blues. Nice, but, you know, old white guy doing the blues in homage. I mean, we've seen Clapton, we've seen Dylan do it. I mean, not really adding anything new there. And you know, and that's kind of was the point of the Stones, to kind of speed up their blues idols and kind of create modern rock. So it's kind of a step back in a way for him through doing that. The next, Heartstopper and Amnesia, okay, but we enter the rockers that he does are all kind of mid-tempo, samey, and, you know, it's just sort of Keith's little murmuring growl, kind of a vaguely, I don't know, Leonard Cohen sort of Lou Reed thing he's doing, because let's face it, Keith's voice wasn't much to start with, and it hasn't gotten greater with age. I mean, it was charming in its day, you know, he could at least holler out some, but now it's kind of all murmur this, like he's telling a secret, or he's still dodging the cops or something. So a little samey there. Then Rob Blind. Well, that's the first ballad, and I'll get more into that later. But that's sort of a warning sign. The ballads get a little overdone here. The greatest part of the album, I think, right off, tracks 5 and 6. 5, Trouble, which was pre-released before the album. Great energy. It has that sort of heroic Keith riff behind it, you know, that made songs like Happy and Before They Make Me Run so good, and it's you know, I think it can join the standards of great Keith songs, if, you know, if someone ever compiles the greatest solo Keith album. And 6, Love Overdue, beautiful reggae song. Keith really gets the feeling of it. He spent a lot of years in Jamaica and Ocho Rios. And you know, he's done some good reggae before, like on Bridges to Babylon, Stones album from '97. He did You Don't Have to Mean It, which was beautiful song. And this even surpasses it. He's got the feeling in his bones, you know, of someone who's really spent time with the Rastas and the whole thing. So tracks 5 and 6, highly recommended. Then it starts to kind of slide off. Nothing on Me. It's kind of another mid-tempo rocker. And it gets into him just sort of almost just singing the title over again. You got nothing on me, you got nothing on me. He kind of repeats it over and over. Not so great. Suspicious, another ballad. Sounds a lot like This Place Is Empty, his ballad on A Bigger Bang. And, you know, okay, you know, then track 9, Blues in the Morning. More another up-tempo rocker, but it sounds sort of like a tired rehash of this great song on Talk Is Cheap, I Could Have Stood You Up. If you want to hear a really great kind of swinging rock song, that's the one. This one sounds sort of like a tired redo of that. Oh, and then we start to slide into tracks 10, 11, and 12. You start, and 13, even the Goodnight Irene cover, we start to enter that tinkling piano, slow drums. Here comes Keith with another ballad about, oh, if you ever come back to me, lost love, and, you know, we'll just try to pull it together sometime. You know, he's a real fan of Hoagie Carmichael, this 20s balladeer. He did a cover of Nearness of You on their Live Licks album, I think, a few years ago. And so he's really into that role now, and he did Losing My Touch was another one he kind of did on the 40 Licks Greatest Hits about 10 years ago. But he's really become obsessed with that kind of role as a balladeer, and it gets kind of dull, frankly. I mean, the begging, self-pitying role. And, you know, for a guy, I looked him up, he's worth like $340 million. He's got a gorgeous model wife, gorgeous daughters, living in his countryside house. It's just something I don't buy off him, you know, even if he is playing a role, you know. Anyway, so 11 is good. It's Illusion. It's got Norah Jones, kind of helps Keith with the vocals. You know, it's nice to hear Norah. However, the central riff is like flagrantly copped from Baby Break It Down from Voodoo Lounge, and I'm surprised no one. I mean, it's not that old an album from '94. I'm surprised no one said, "Keith, this is the exact same riff, central lick." So that's a little distressing. 12, slow ballad. Goodnight Irene. It's not the greatest Goodnight Irene. It sounds like a guy outside a soup kitchen just sort of singing to anybody. Very tired. Sounds like Irene's long since gone to sleep on that one. Last two tracks kind of picks up. Substantial Damage. He throws in, it's sort of a rocker. It's got a great kind of John Spencer blues explosion riff in the middle of it. Great riff. However, there's no song. It's just Keith hollering a few lines and then just jamming through the whole song. So it's not really a rocker. So basically we have one rocker on the album, Trouble. Kind of sad. And the last song is another ballad. It's nice, called Lover's Plea, but, you know, another Come Back to Me Baby song. You know, it's territory pretty well trodden on this album. So I have to say, Keith, I love you. You know, you definitely, there's a soulful human quality there that you don't sense in Mick's records. However, without Mick on an album, you know, people mock him for trying to be too current and putting in hip-hop producers or whatever to make the Stones sound current. But that's kind of what makes the difference from a Stones album just sounding like any old bar band album anywhere. You know, there's that freshness, and that yin and yang between Mick and Keith is really important. And so, you know, I have to say he recorded this in 2011. Around he started in 2011 when and that was because they forced him to. He said he was about thinking of retiring, probably because the effort of writing his book Life took a lot out of him, and because he said so many bitchy comments about Mick's tiny penis and how cold he was and stuff, that Mick was after that, Mick really dragged his heels about touring with the Stones again, and, you know, who could blame him? But yeah, it does feel like a guy just kind of waking up out of retirement or thoughts of retirement, just getting his feeling back. It's not, you know, a lot of older artists, Dylan, people like that are really, you know, they still put in energy, and they don't, you know, they're willing to experiment. I just don't put it down to age as an excuse, you know. You can still do better. So, reportedly the Stones are going back into the studio in 2016 to do an actual band album. Who knows what to expect. I like Bigger Bang. I thought, you know, again, the yin and yang of Mick and Keith was great, and it gave something to that album. But if you subtract the energy and everything, you just get the energy of Mick. You kind of get tired Keith, and just ain't enough. Thanks.